got a collab with Drake and a collab with Post Malone through my record label coming out next year, which is going to be pretty fly and pretty awesome, opening up a new door for me, and people are going to see me in a completely different light and just be like, man, we thought we knew who fucking CJ Shaman was, but you don't.
Yeah.
Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I'm, of course, your host, the beloved, the most charismatic man of entertainment. Beat that, Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Jason Momoa. That's right, I'm coming for y'all. But anyway, hope everybody's having a good day, good week. You know, another banger episode, and I'm glad because I've been able to interview award-winning directors, producers, actors, content creators, but this is the first time I actually get a musician on this on the podcast. But who am I interviewing today? Who is the musician? Well, no need to fear because the most charismatic man has the answers for you. That's right. So, hailing from Las Vegas, but born and raised in northern Arizona, he is an artist and musician, taking the world by storm. And this year, 2025, he released his newest classic rock and roll style album, El Diablo De Ocho, which means the devil of eight. He's killing it right now. You can check out one of his singles, El Diablo, on YouTube. He's making a name for himself in the music industry, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation with my guest today, CJ Shaman. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you, Percy. Nice to meet you. Happy to be here.
Absolutely, man. Let's get into it, man. You definitely have the rock look to you. How did you get into music? Especially coming from Arizona. I know I've never been to Vegas, but we all know Vegas is basically the destination for musicians. So how did you get into music, and what made you move to Vegas?
Where are you based out of? LA?
New York. I lived in
New
LA
York?
for a few years.
You've never been to Vegas though, bro?
Never.
Damn. We'll have to get you out here. But I mean, as long as I can remember, I've been into music. My family was very musical. No one was really like a musician per se, but I grew up around music. Like my family was kind of a church-going family when I was really young, and we had a piano in the living room, and my mom would play piano, and we'd have like family night where we did like this church thing where we'd like sing and stuff. But my parents had a pretty rad record collection when I was a kid, and even before I really would be really into music, I like just like fiddling through the albums and the records and checking them out and shit. And I think the first stuff I was into was like Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash and like stuff like that. And then I had lots of older brothers and sisters and grew up in the 80s. So cool 80s music influence from them that they would listen to as like young teenagers and stuff definitely had a influence on me. And I have 4 older sisters and an older brother. And so I would get all their like hand-me-down stuff. Like if they had like a stereo and then they got a new stereo, like I'd get their old weird kind of broken stereo and their old cassette tapes and take them and listen to them. And it's kind of my introduction into music. Is from a pretty young age, I was pretty into it, and MTV had come out at that time. And I remember like riding my bike around and pretending I was in like a rock star, like in a music video, like riding my Harley around, like with the wind blowing in my hair, thinking about some hot chick or whatever. So it's always been something that's like in me for sure.
I got the chance, when I was talking to your publicist and everything. I got the chance to listen to it, and the 70s and 80s is before my time. But I remember reading your press kit about your music and stuff, and it said that you are influenced by the 70s and 80s rock style, and I could tell it. I can sense it. I can feel it. I believe it. That you have some of those elements. You're not stealing from those artists, but you could tell that you borrow some of those techniques. So for you, I know you talked about your upbringing with music, but any bands or musicians in particular that kind of influenced you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the Doors are a huge influence on me. Sublime, Social Distortion, Kiss, Aerosmith, Creedence Clearwater Revival, like dude, Metallica, like Judas Priest, freaking like more like 90s kind of punk bands like Green Day and Rancid and those kind of bands when I was early into my high school days was when that stuff kind of came out and was popular. So I was definitely like into that for a while back in the day. And then obviously, like I grew up in a little country kind of hick town, and my parents were kind of like country folks. So I was really into country music when I was a kid. And as I was a teenager, I definitely sort of was like not into it at all. But as I grew up and became an adult, started to get more into that, more into my roots and appreciate it more. And really vibe with like the 70s era kind of like outlaw country sound is something that I definitely vibe with. But man, I'm a chameleon when it comes to music. Like I love all music. I can body all different styles of music. I'm really into hip hop as well, and I don't really express myself in a hip hop manner all the time. Sometimes I've got some new collabs that I've been doing that are some hip hop kind of R&B collabs and stuff. But definitely, you know, when Eminem came out in like the late '90s and stuff, like was really captivated by him, and definitely, obviously, he's pretty amazing. So I think a lot of people were, but he's a big influence on me in this way that people may not see right off the bat. Yellow Wolf, even like Kid Rock and shit, just because of his ability to like meld different styles of music and kind of be that country, but with a rock and hip hop edge. Like I vibe with that, and yeah, just like anything that's groovy and fun and gets your pulse going is something that I'm definitely gonna vibe with for sure.
So let me ask you, because along the way, both of us being creators, but you more in the music industry side of things. How long did it take for you to develop your own unique style, right? Because we all are influenced by certain people, but in order to bring your own kind of identity and your own, success, you have to kind of differentiate yourself from other people. So how long for you that journey, listening to the music and actually getting involved and having to brand yourself and find your market, how long did it take for you to finally find your sound, find your music taste that you can present to other people?
Wow, that's a really good question. I mean, the first band I started was with a childhood friend of mine, and he was really like into punk rock. So we kind of ended up like I wanted to start like a psychedelic rock band, like the Doors. It was like really epic, but we were really young and we weren't that good yet, so we kind of had to like tone it down and be kind of a punk band. You know what I mean? And but even my first shot at it, like right out of the gates, like because I was coming with all these other influences, but sort of putting it into a simplified punk sound, it definitely gave us like right off the bat, like a very unique sound that people, you know, when they come to our shows would be like, dude, you guys are awesome. You don't really sound like anyone. You're like a rock band kind of, but with like this punk attitude that's like just like really different. So I'd say not to be weird, but kind of like my first shot at it was like pretty unique approach. And I'm not like a trained musician. I don't read music. I never took any kind of lessons or anything. So I didn't put any like rules or limitations on myself. I'm just like, this is how I'm going to do it. And if nobody likes it, that's fine. But this is how I'm going to do it my way. And, but I would say my latest album here, El Diablo De Ocho, The Devil of Eight, I think is kind of a culmination of my entire musical career so far, kind of all wrapped into one kind of thing in a bow that's sort of like ending a chapter in my career and in my life musically, but probably all the way until right now is it really took me probably 20 years to really like figure out who I really am and how I want to express myself, and that it's uniquely me. And yeah, it's like borrowed from a lot of different influences, and a lot of bands and musicians have had influences on me, but I think I do a pretty great job of like coming up with my own style, because it's, you know, it's just me. It's just from my heart. I don't try to write a song specifically any way or whatever. It's just whatever comes out of me in that moment is what the song's going to be. And like, so I think that's kind of a cool way, sort of a unique thing unto me that I do.
Yeah, as you mentioned that, it's funny because my first time hearing anything that wasn't hip hop really into the genre you're doing, I grew up, a lot of rap music, Dipset, 50 Cent, all that good stuff. And then I remember ninth grade, my older brother, he was the guy I looked up to in terms of music. He played My Chemical Romance, Helena, and it intrigued me because it was different. You had the dark hair, the dark eyebrows, the like just the dark atmosphere, the dark music videos. And I think a lot of times when people listen to music like that, people might see you. Um, people tend to judge to think that, especially when they hear your album, right? They might think, oh, he's really into the dark arts and stuff. But I want to ask you because I feel like a lot of musicians don't get asked this question. you know, you as an artist is one thing, and then you as a person is another thing. So for you, when you're a showman, when you're performing your music, how do you involve, changing yourself into the character that you want to portray in your music?
Well, that's another good question. And by the way, My Chemical Romance is amazing. I've seen them live. They're one of my daughter's favorite bands. We got to see them here in Vegas a couple of years ago, and they're like phenomenal, a
Yeah.
phenomenal band live. Like sound just like the album. So shout out to My Chemical Romance. But yeah, man, it's sort of like I guess it's kind of magical or mysterious. Like uh, the line there is between me as a person and me as an artist is pretty blurred because I try to be pretty authentic as an artist. Like when I'm on stage, I think it's really who I truly am, but maybe just like a more of just a heightened version, obviously, because you're on stage and you're in front of people, and something just kind of comes over me that I can't explain. I don't go through any kind of like pregame ritual or anything really, or I don't really have to like psych myself up or anything. It's just sort of like this in a blink of an eye, you just sort of transition into, all right, now I'm on stage and now I'm this guy. And you're right. It's like a larger than life thing that you become. And you can express a lot through being a musician and a performer that isn't necessarily something that you can be in your everyday life. Like in my everyday life, I'm not a very dark or scary or aggressive person, but in my music, it can come across that way for sure. So maybe, I don't know where that comes from though, but I guess there's a darkness inside of me. I would say I think everybody has a dark side, and I think I just embrace my dark side and use it as inspiration to create some of this music, and especially on this latest album, it kind of dabbles in some darkness for sure because I went through some tragedies and some darkness, and was feeling those vibes. But like you said, um, to think of like an emo band like My Chemical Romance, and the sort of gothic tone that they bring, and the black hair and the makeup and the eyeliner to give that presence or whatever. Like, I mean, there's a little bit of that to what I do for sure, but I don't know honestly where it comes from. I think rock and roll in general, just kind of being known as like the devil's music, and I believe in God, like I believe in goodness. Like I don't like get off on like dark shit that much, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
do love the darkness of rock and roll, that mysterious kind of tortured artist, poetic, tragic darkness that's in rock and roll. I do vibe with that, and I guess it just comes from life. Life is kind of hard sometimes, and try to just balance the darkness and the light, because I think people who aren't in touch with their dark side and aren't able to express it can come off a little bit like corny or cringe, like like Mr. Flanders on The Simpsons. Obviously he's got no darkness in him whatsoever. He's a corny goody two shoes, and I don't think many people vibe with that. And I think as an artist, if you're able to be in touch with your dark side and express it in a positive way, I think it's healthy for other people when they're listening, that they can sort of get off on it as well.
Let me ask you, you brought up a good point earlier. You said being authentic. And I think, anybody in the arts, whether it's music, acting, anything in the entertainment field, being authentic is definitely something I feel like we've lost along the way, especially when you move to a place like Vegas or LA, where everybody wants to go to become the next big star, the next big A-list celebrity. How do you stay, you've been doing this for many years, over 20 years. Is it hard for you to stay authentic, not only just to your music, but to yourself? Or is it just something when you moved to Las Vegas, you had a plan in mind, you had a goal in mind, you had a vision about your music and what you were doing, and there was nothing that was going to stop you from achieving those goals?
Yeah, I think having a family, being a father, and we have lots. Like I grew up like on a farm, basically. So we've always had pets, and animals to look after, and I have a daughter that I have to take care of. I have a wife who has needs. So I have a lot of responsibility, and I think that keeps me grounded and authentic. From if I was maybe a single guy all on my own here in Vegas with like total freedom, I might lose myself a little bit. So I think definitely my family helps keep me grounded and authentic. But I'd like to think that also I'm just sort of an authentic guy, and I try to have a good moral compass and those kind of things. And when I did move here to Las Vegas from Arizona, it definitely was to meet up with some old friends and some old band members, and we started a brand new thing that we had very high expectations for it. Unfortunately, a lot of things got in the way of it taking off, and I took a lot of time off after that. And honestly, I completely gave up on that I was ever going to pursue this like really professionally or really seriously for a couple years. And then I really got into, I don't know if you're familiar with who Yellow Wolf is, but
Oh
he's
yeah.
this hip hop artist out of Alabama. And he was actually kind of discovered, not really discovered by Eminem, but when he was first discovered, they kind of like presented him to Eminem, like, here, you work with this guy. And so his first major label release is like a collab with Eminem. But anyways, I really got into his music. I was out like working out in my garage, like looking for new shit to listen to on Spotify, and I came across him, and I had heard of him before, but never really delved in. And so I just sort of did this deep dive into Yellow Wolf, and like he really inspired me. He's like a super like um very unique, very like outgoing, very flamboyant, very confident, like fashionable, like I don't give a fuck, like I'm super fucking cool and I don't fucking give a fuck. And that just like really inspired me because that's kind of who I am. But I've sort of like, I'm a very sensitive guy. And so it's, it can be easy to knock me off the horse sometimes. And being an empathic person, I can like take in and absorb other people's energies. And I'm the kind of guy that if I'm all hyped on something, if the guy next to me isn't, it can be hard for me to stay hyped. But be, oh man, well, like you're not feeling it. It must be my fault. You know what I mean? I'll take on these weird things where I take on a lot of things and will think that everything's my fault and kind of live in like a slumber sometimes. And he kind of like knocked me out of that to be like, dude, like this guy, like this is like I feel such a bond with this guy, and I want to fucking reinvent myself and like pursue my music again and like really do this and like start dressing like how I really want to dress again and just like I went from being like this, I'm a rock star kind of guy to like when I gave up on it, I kind of like toned myself down and kind of just like became just kind of this normal guy for a couple of years. It's like I took this weird side quest as like a normal guy for a while, and it was kind of depressing, honestly. And so like discovering Yellow Wolf and his passion for art and music really re-inspired me and helped me like break away all the shit that was covering me up and like burying me to be like, no, dude, like I really am this guy and I got to get back on the horse and I got to like start writing music again and just like really do this. Whether I make it or not, it doesn't matter. This is who I am. So whether I sell records and make a name for myself or not, I'm just going to do this. And if it's just for me and my family, I still just got to be who I am authentically because this normal guy shit isn't going to cut it for me. It's too depressing. So, definitely Yellow Wolf definitely helped me inspire me to like keep going. And then, I've probably made 3 or 4 albums since that moment in time. And this last album I just made was definitely something I'm really proud of. And, but also something that I'm also feels like the end of something. And now there's something brand new coming my way that like the next music I make, like the next music you hear come from CJ Shaman, is going to be probably a lot different from this album that I just released.
Oh, that's beautiful, beautifully said, and I think you summed it up perfectly. You know, Yellow Wolf, I do know him, amazing artist. I've been able to listen to a lot of stuff he does, and he's a tremendous artist. I'll give him that. And let me ask you, you know, because you're the first musician I've ever had on the show. So I want to ask you because I always feel like being a musician, there's some misconceptions that come your way. But one of the things I've always been curious about is albums. You know, I feel like people don't realize how much work it goes into. And you don't have to go into all grave detail on your latest project, El Diablo De Ocho. But how was the process doing that album for you? Was it easy? Were you able to take your past experiences from the other three albums and import it into this one, or was it different doing working on this new album?
Yeah, it was different. It was a very personal album because I lost two of my best friends in the world in a matter of like a year. And one of them was actually my childhood friend who was like a phenomenal artist, phenomenal guitar player. And he was much more into like being a tattoo artist, but literally he was like a phenom at guitar. But it's like he didn't really want to be like a guitarist. He wanted to be a tattoo artist. But my dream was always to be like, dude, me and you were going to be in a band one day and it's going to be the fucking kickest ass band ever. And that's the band that I was able to start when I first moved here to Vegas. And we wrote an album, we played around a bunch, and then it didn't work out, long story short. But he ended up passing away just a few years ago. And we had written some songs together that never got released because the band broke up before we did our next album. So I kind of like forgot they even existed. But when he passed away, obviously, I started deep diving into all the archives to find pictures and memories and all those things, and found those songs and was like, man, you know what? Like, I want to do a tribute to my brother and I want to bring these songs to life because they're so good. And it's a tragedy for them to just like be here on my phone, like in a file. Like, I want to make these real. And then, my other friend, brother-in-law, Nick, he passed away as well, like suddenly and tragically. And so the song El Diablo is about him. That was his nickname. He was a guy who was like into like dark metal and he was very, smart, loved reading books about the occult, black magic and things like that. People probably would have thought he was like a devil worshiper kind of guy. Wasn't, but he was. He was the same thing. Like that's the kind of music he liked. That's the kind of music he liked. But, a big softy, like sensitive, sweet guy on the inside. But me and my buddies always called him El Diablo, like, what's up, El Diablo? And so I wrote that song, El Diablo, about him, named the album after him. And so it's kind of a tribute to my buddies, and they're both into darker stuff and more heavier stuff. And so I kind of wanted to make it for them so that they would like it if they were here, you know what I mean? So that part made it emotional, like being in the studio with my producer, making some recording and cutting these tracks. I literally, not to sound like a freak, but I felt their presence in there with me. Like I really did. Goosebumps, tears, like uncontrollable. Like I felt them in there with me. So it was a beautiful way to make an album. And it was definitely healing for me, I guess. It was helped me to say goodbye to them and to come to terms with it and to feel like I was doing my brothers like a solid, like I'm remembering them. I'm going out of my way to like remember them and show them that their life was special and it meant something to me. And, a lot of times these days with social media and popularity and likes and how many followers do you have, these two guys had nothing to do with that. They could give a shit about any of that. They probably weren't even on social media. And I wanted to make their life real and be remembered in this way since they weren't, people that were like had that big of a social circle. I wanted to make sure that they were like going to live on forever some way. And that was important to me. But it was a very easy album to make in the way of everything flowed really well. And sometimes that doesn't always happen. But I try to bring a positive, like, go getter, go lucky attitude when I go into the studio to work with people. And I think that definitely helps things run smooth and make for a good work environment. And I've been fortunate to work with pretty good producers who we kind of vibe as brothers and friends so that it makes a like a chill vibe while you recorded music. You don't feel like stuff. You're like, oh, this is like I don't want to fuck up or whatever. It's friendly, so you got a friendly banter going, and you're roasting each other and talking shit. So it's like, all right, we're brothers now. Like we can make some good shit without feeling all like, you know, self-conscious and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, along this journey, at some point, we're all going to suffer losses. And, condolences to the losses that you suffered, especially along the way. I do think though, you you're not soft, you're not weird to feel their presence while you're doing that. Especially when you have a bond with people who are not only your brothers, but people who help shape your career. I think at some point as artists, we need to turn sometimes that pain into our passion, and that helps us as artists. So, I think, that at the end of the day, what matters is that you got to honor them, and they get to be in the room in spirit and feel the love that you left for them too. So, shout out to you for doing that, because a lot of people in this industry, I feel like, it's kind of, I use you, and then when I'm done, that's it. It's very hard to have meaningful relationships, and that's actually something I want to ask you about, because I feel like oftentimes when we see successful people in music and entertainment, we see the success, we see the highs, we see the money, we see the fortune, the red carpets, the music premieres, but we don't get to see the behind the scenes, all the struggles. Um, what are some things along your journey that you look back that were some of your lowest but helped shape you? And you don't have to get into too much detail about it if you don't want, but maybe one thing that happened along the way. I know you mentioned about your close friends and stuff passing away, but is there something else along the way? Maybe it was, you know moving to Vegas and something happened, and it threw you off your path, or maybe writing the album, you had writer's block or something. But is there something along the way that kind of hit, like, got you stuck in the rut, but you was able to pick yourself up on?
Oh yeah, man. The whole journey several times. Like I've been in three bands before I just started focusing on just recording music and being like kind of a solo artist, you would say, or whatever. And each time one of those bands fizzled out, or it was time for me as a person to make a decision where this isn't serving me anymore. This is as far as I can take this. It's not, I'm not able to be authentic in this situation anymore. So I need to move on. It's always devastating because when things start out, you're always very optimistic and you're like, dude, we're going to make it. This is going to be so fun. And you have such highs and lows. But when it finally comes to that point where it's like over, it's pretty depressing and it's pretty sad. And, it's funny. The first band I was in, Mecca, we went on this tour. Our first tour, went out, toured through the Midwest. We had just fired our drummer because for personal reasons, we loved him. He was our brother, but as a band, we couldn't move forward with him as a drummer. And, that shit's really hard too, to take someone that you're close to and buddies with and be like, man, like you can't come with us. That can be a hard thing to do as well. But, we got home from this tour. A lot of things happened on the tour. It was a very eye-awakening thing because we went out on the road together and we realized, we don't vibe. Like this isn't going to work. I don't want to be in a band with you guys and continue to do this with you guys. Like never again. I learned my lesson. You guys aren't for me. And that was really sad because I thought that like that was at that young age, being like 22, 23 years old, I was like, these are my guys. This is us. We're going to make it. We're starting. And like before it could even take off or do anything, I realized, like I kind of felt it deep down the whole time, but he just kind of pushed it down. I was like, no, dude, we're going to work through this. It's going to be fine. All bands go through this type of thing. But that first tour opened up everything to be like, nah, dude, your gut instinct is right. These feelings you have are right. These guys aren't for you. And so I basically called them all up and I was like, I'm going to move on. Like the tour we just went on, the falling out we just had was like enough for me to realize I'd like to like move on and try to do something different. And you guys do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. Hope we can still be friends and that kind of thing. And you know, it upset him obviously quite a bit. But literally the very next day, and this was back in like the MySpace, like Craigslist days and stuff. And I think it was like MySpace. I found this band that was looking for a lead singer like literally the very next day. And so when I went to like rehearse with them the first time, I didn't like it, didn't like them, didn't like the vibe, any of it. And so I went away from it. But something about it kept sticking with me. And like maybe like a month went by or something. And I hit him back up. I was like, "Hey, did you guys find a singer yet?" And they're like, "Nah." I was like, "Did you want to come try again?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And then I went back the second time with just like a like sort of just like a job that is like going to be hard and you don't want to do it, but you just need to buck up and do it. Like that's the attitude I had going into it, and it served me well because after a couple of weeks, I was like, you know what, boom, this is going to work out pretty good actually. Like we're fucking doing this. So and then when that band broke up, it was the same thing. I had to walk away from it because it became a father and they wanted to like keep touring all over the place. But I literally had this little baby and I was like, guys, I'm your friend. I'm your singer. I'm your brother. I have this tiny little baby. I have to be here for it. So we can't go on like a nationwide tour right now. And they just refused to kind of like accommodate me. And so that really hurt me because I was like, we had like we were brothers and they wouldn't accommodate me. So I was just like, fuck you. And so that it ended really badly in that way. But I was like, dude, I got to take care of my baby girl. And so, but it was devastating. But I made the right choice. And all these years later, I find myself right here, still doing it, and pretty much on the cusp of making all my goals and dreams come true. And it's been one hell of a ride. I've been doing this shit for almost 25 years, and that's a long time to do it and to reach my age and to still like believe in myself and have that optimism and that drive and that passion. Like a lot of people give up on it, and something inside me has just always told me never to give up. And if you never give up, you're eventually going to win. And so regardless of all the darkness, the negativity, anything that's come my way, I've just always told myself, just don't give up, because the second you give up, then you don't have a chance. But if you keep going, there's always going to be a chance. If your hook is out in the water with a worm on it, you still have a chance to catch a fish. So just got to keep fishing.
Amen to that. Beautifully said. And you said you're on the cusp of finally being able to enjoy the fruits of all the hard work that you put in. And I wanted to ask you this question. I feel like as artists, we all have visions and goals that we want to achieve. So for you, let's say 3 to 5 years from now, what is a goal that you want to accomplish? Whether it's working with Yellow Wolf, whether it's headlining, headlining in Vegas, or touring with a specific band, or creating, collaborating with a bunch of your favorite artists on an album, being a guest on somebody's album. Is there any goals that you really want to hit in the next 3 to 5 years as a musician?
Oh yeah, like you said, I'd love to collab with Yellow Wolf. I actually have met Yellow Wolf a couple times, and we're in. I have his number and shit, but we'll we'll get to that soon and do a collab, I'm sure, in the future. Like I'm a pure songwriter as well, besides being a performer and wanting to be a rock star and all those things. Like I can write in every genre. Like I've written lots of country songs, rock songs, pop songs. Like so, I would be totally tickled to have like other artists do my songs, where it's maybe the material is more suited for them and their persona and their image more than like, I look like this, and if I come out doing like some super countrified song, people may not be able to figure it out, so it might be for somebody else. But so I'd love for one of my idols is the country icon Dwight Yoakam. Like I'd love for Dwight Yoakam to like do a couple of my songs, maybe. Like I as big and as crazy as it sounds, dude, I love football. I'm a lifelong football fan. I would love to play the fucking Super Bowl. Like all politics aside and shit, I have this really cool song that I just made that's sort of like an American anthem about growing up in America called American Road. It's like super epic. Like I would love to play at the White House, like at this 250-year anniversary of like America with like the UFC and all that. I would love to do that event and play my cool American song, shit like that. Like I'd love to do just like a headlining tour of just to spread CJ Shaman to the world. Like, I'd love to do like stuff overseas for the troops if I could. That always seems like a pretty fulfilling thing to do for those guys. Like, I'd love to act even. Like, I don't really want to be like a movie star guy, but I always think it would be fun to be like like a random side character in a movie that fits my persona, like some kind of gangster or drug dealer or some guy in prison or something, or just whatever. I'd love to be like in a Western movie or something. I'd love to have the opportunity to have my songs like used in like television shows and movies and shit like that. So like, kind of all the stereotypical goals that you would want as a musician, just to be known and to find your tribe and for people to vibe with your music. And that's the whole point of making music and being an artist, is because you're putting out like a signal that you want to get a signal back. You know what I mean? I don't make music because I don't want people to listen to it. I make it because I want the whole world to hear it, and whether they like it or not, that's going to be up to them. But I just want the access to the people to show them that there's somebody authentic making music still that is coming from the heart and trying to make you feel good and make you happy. Like, I don't want to make music to make people sad or to or to think like, oh, when I get sad or depressed, I want to listen to like CJ Shaman music. Like, I want to be someone that you listen to when you're like with all your buddies and you're about to fire off down on a road trip or something like that. Like, I want to be the soundtrack to people's good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Oh, that's the goal right there, man. Just summer nights bombing down on the highway with buddies. Music is one of the arts that I think everybody loves. I don't care what genre it is. I don't care what musician you are. Music is one of those things where people just come together, and that's the coolest thing. Because for me, I was never, you know, you know, I don't know. I mentioned the story about my older brother, but I was never introduced into your genre and the music you do before until I started meeting other people who were the weirdos. I would say in high school, the golf looking kids who were into that, and I found an appreciation for it because I do think, despite the stereotypes that people like to call you and the people who do your type of music, like you said, you are a person, you're a father, you're a husband, and there's a lot more to you than just the musician aspect, right? But let's not get too sentimental because things are about to spice up a little bit. Let me ask you, if this three, it could be groups or individuals, but three people that if you can work with, whether it's from the 70s or now, that you can work with on the album, tour with them, just collab with them, who would it be?
That's a great question. Dude, I would love to like be in the room, just to like, if I could just to be in the room with that much talent, like Michael Jackson, obviously,
Ooh,
like probably the most talented dude of all time. Him and Elvis, like Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, and then like probably someone like Tom Petty. Um, he's someone that I get compared to a lot, just in the style of like, he just makes this kind of music that's just, it's like rock and roll, but it's just kind of like, it's great lyrics, great storytelling. It's kind of for everybody. Nobody's like, oh, dude, I fucking can't stand Tom Petty. Like, everybody kind of likes Tom Petty. And so I'd say probably like Tom Petty, Elvis, and Michael Jackson, maybe David Bowie, somebody like that. Like, I mean, even like The Doors, my favorite band, like Jim Morrison. Like, I don't know about like collabing with other like super dynamic, talented artists in the way of like, you know, let's do something together. Cause I think it's almost more of like friendly competition in this one way. Like, you're you doing that, and I'm going to be over here doing this. And let's like do it together, not really together, but together separately, I guess. But people that I would like to like steal from their talent would be like Michael Jackson and Elvis for sure.
absolutely. Now, you might be wondering why I asked you that question because, oftentimes on this show, people walk away and say, I had such a great experience up until they get to this point because, you're a showman, you're a musician, you know what it's like to be under pressure, under the lights, in front of people. Now, we're entering a segment called the hot seat, and now it's your turn, CJ. So we're gonna put you in the hot seat, and I'll
All
give you
right.
the general rules of it. So the hot seat is all fun, I amp it up to be some life altering thing, but it's just general fun. And you being a musician and being inspired by a lot of rock and roll artists and stuff, I thought, why don't I do this with you? So I'm gonna give you two names, whether it's a group or individual, and I'm gonna just ask you to choose which one you prefer. Now, it doesn't have to be, you know, anything derogatory or anything. It's just all fun, and it's just to see who you prefer. It's just a little fun,
All right.
hot segment to kind of get the
Sounds
ball
groovy.
rolling. So, if you're ready to rock and roll, you ready to do this?
All right. Hit it.
All right, let's do this. All right, first up, we have the Beatles or the Who.
The Who.
The Who, okay. Bob Dylan or David Bowie.
David Bowie.
That's a good one. Jimi Hendrix or Elvis Presley.
Whew. Man, that's a rough one, but I have to go with my boy Elvis just because that's probably the first music I ever liked in my life. But man, Jimi Hendrix is the man.
Yeah, respect to that. Okay, let's keep this going. The Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin.
The Stones.
Ooh, that's definitely a nice one. All right, Aerosmith or the Eagles.
Oh man, I love the Eagles, but Aerosmith. Aerosmith is the shit.
Aerosmith gets the win. Let's get this rolling. So we have the Black Sabbath or Van Halen.
Wait, what was the second one?
Van Halen.
Ooh, Van Halen.
Van
Definitely
Halen.
Van Halen.
Okay. Pink Floyd or the Stooges.
Ooh, Pink Floyd. Just because, man, where would we be without Pink Floyd?
That's true. Speaking of true, two of the biggest groups from their time, Nirvana or Leonard Skinner.
Oh, dude, these are like picking between frickin' Victoria's Secret models, man. I have to go Leonard Skinner though. I'm a little bit more Skinner than Nirvana, I'd say.
That's fair. That's a fair choice. I feel like it. Either one is not a bad choice to
Dude,
decide.
Freebird is probably one of the top 10 greatest songs of all time. So
Yeah,
fucking
it's
Skinner.
very underrated. It's very underrated for sure. I definitely agree with you on that. But I don't know if I'll agree with you on this next pick. AC/DC or Aerosmith.
Yeah, I'll still go with Aerosmith, but AC/DC, especially the early AC/DC, the original Bon Scott era, I love that. But yeah, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler.
Hmm. This gonna get you. Kiss or Metallica?
Kiss. I love Metallica, but Kiss all the way.
I should have figured that was gonna be a choice. I
I
made it
mean,
too easy for you. I made it too easy for you. All right, a couple more for you. Queen or Guns N' Roses?
Queen,
Queen. Journey or Rush?
Journey.
And then I
Journey's
gotta,
fucking fly, man.
you know what? I'm gonna ask you. I ask everybody this because I think you mentioned some of your favorites. The two biggest icons, whether no matter the genre, Michael Jackson or Prince.
Ooh, Michael Jackson. Prince is dope though, but Michael Jackson is the fucking man.
Enough said. The podcast is over. You go home. We're closing up
All
shop.
right,
We're finished. No,
cut.
no, that was fun. Michael Jackson is you know what's crazy? No matter what genre of music you love or listen to, Michael Jackson is one of the very well. He probably is the only one that transcended barriers across the globe, across music. Like it's crazy to think that my little 8-year-old brothers and sisters know who Michael Jackson is.
Yeah,
I mean, his legacy is. I wish you could be as big as him, and I hope you can. Because we've been craving another artist just like him. And
No,
Michael,
dude, we need and like, look, dude, that's my goal. And like, am I capable of that? I sure hope so. But man, yeah, like Michael Jackson is a messianic being. He's a one of a kind, unique spirit that came to this world. And I know he had a tough upbringing with his pops and all that, but man, he just changed the world. Like, besides Jesus Christ, I'm pretty sure Michael Jackson is probably the most influential, famous person ever to walk the earth. And his music is so dope. His voice is so dope. His dancing, his skills, like everything that he brought to the world. Like, man, he was probably like the best artist of all time so far, I'd say.
as we wrap this up, CJ, you've been one of my favorite interviews so far this year because I
Hey,
think
likewise, man.
you've been very transparent. You've been very honest and open about who you are. And I want people to get it. I want you to give people a chance to, before we get to the promoting part, like I said, people may have a preconceived notion when they hear your music, or they might see you and say, "Oh, CJ, huh? I don't know what to think of him. He's the stereotypical musician we would see in this genre." But you said so much that I think people listening will have the opportunity to see you in a much different light than other people who's just judging you for the first time. So, what are some things about CJ, not the artist, but the person that somebody may not know? Whether it's something you enjoy, something about you that a lot of people may not know off rip, just seeing you. What are just some couple of fun things about you that people may not know?
I'm a hooper. I love basketball. I love football. I was an athlete growing up, like as a young kid and into high school. So that's something people may not know about me. For as wild as I am, this wild free spirit, like I said, I'm a family man. So I have this domestic side. Like good at cleaning up the house. I'm good at cooking and, taking care of animals. I have a pretty strong bond with animals. I love animals. I grew up on a farm. My mom loved animals. We had tons of animals. Like my house is filled with animals and probably bond and vibe with animals more so than humans. Like I'm kind of a lone wolf type person. Like I I love being the life of the party in this one way, but I also like to I absorb a lot of energy. And so I need a lot of like alone time and like peace and quiet to like recharge my batteries. And I'm a pretty sensitive guy. I guess I'd say I'm in touch with my feminine side. I grew up with a lot of sisters and mom around me, and my dad and big brother weren't always around a lot. So I grew up like in the kitchen with my mom a lot, or going to like the fabric store. My mom was like an old school lady who did lots of sewing and made stuff and cooked and baked cookies and cinnamon rolls and all that stuff. So I grew up like following her around a lot and taking after her in those ways. So people might think I'm this dude that like rides a motorcycle or is just kind of this badass motherfucker in this one way. And I do have that in me, but the real true CJ is just pretty kind and gentle soul who literally just wants everyone to be happy and feel recognized and seen, and that their feelings are important, that their life is important, and that we're all here kind of mysteriously dropped off in this world. Like, what are we even here for? And we're not ever going to know that answer. So the best we can come up with is at least to be good to each other and help each other on the journey that we're on. So I think people do have a misconception about me. Like when I meet new people, especially one of the gifts I try to bring to the world is if I'm in a one-on-one with somebody, I kind of want them to feel really like, especially if they're like, oh, this is CJ Shaman or whatever. I don't want it to be about me. I'd like it to be about them. So I want them to feel like the rock star. And sometimes people will take that the wrong way and think that like my kindness is like not authentic or like not real, because they couldn't really believe that anyone would actually be that nice. And I deal with that sometimes, and that actually crushes me. But just kind of a product of the world we live in is that there's so many people trying to like fucking get one over on you, that when someone is like genuinely nice or a good human being, it's almost like suspicious. So I wish as a human race we could get back to just like common courtesy and respect and decency and helping your neighbors out if they need it, and being aware that every human being is sort of here and all going through the same experiences, but we think we're so different from each other. But when everyone could have a chance to just sit down with each other and get to know each other, you'll find that we're all like going through the same exact thing. It's crazy, like literally.
But you say you're a hooper. So are you a Steph Curry, shooting a three? Are you a LeBron running in the paint, dunking and all that stuff? Or are you Draymond Green, elbowing people and fouling them? Which one are you?
Oh, dude, like in a game situation, I'm like Draymond Green probably. Like I got a decent outside shot and I got some good driving to the basket skills, but usually here's like I used to play with lots of dudes at the LA Fitness gym by my house, and I got to play with Terrell Owens once. You know who he is, the
Oh,
famous football player. So
absolutely.
you know I got to play with a lot of brothers there who were like, bigger and stronger and more athletic than me. And so I would kind of be like, all right, I need to be the point guard for all these dudes and like the muscle, like I'm gonna take the charges. I'm gonna like this guy over here, no one can really guard him. So I'm gonna make sure that when he goes in the paint, like I'm gonna kind of take him down. And like when I was in like junior high and high school, I was sort of like the Dennis Rodman, like Draymond Green, like um just kind of naturally had that knack to be like, I'm just gonna kind of be the bully out there. But like as far as like a fan of basketball, like dude, I grew up in the '90s, so the fucking Chicago Bulls are like my fucking team. Like I lived and died by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen when I was a kid. Like my whole life depended on if they won or not. So
Yeah.
I harken back to that era of basketball. I don't watch a lot of basketball anymore, but like Steph Curry is definitely a phenomenal player. I followed LeBron James' career this whole time. He's phenomenal, but I'm like one of those old school guys. It's like no one's ever gonna be better than Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely Draymond Green on the court, I guess.
No, it's that dark nature in you. That's why that
Yeah,
explains
totally.
it. No, I'm just playing. But I mean, I don't watch basketball as much either. I do. James Harden is, I think, he's definitely my favorite player. LeBron, he's up there in the GOAT status. Kobe's my GOAT. I don't care about Michael Jordan. All right, I don't care what nobody. Nah.
Dude, Kobe's the goat too. Like he was badass too. Like I was a Phoenix Suns fan back when he was wheeling and dealing and like Steve Nash and shit. So I was always like, fuck Kobe. But now that he's gone and we got the shit going on today, I fucking worship Kobe. I'm just like, dude, I just have so much respect for Kobe. And there wouldn't be Kobe without Michael Jordan. Like I think Kobe pretty much emulated Jordan and everything he did, and that's why he was so successful. But he had his own thing too. He had his own that Black Mamba mentality that he carried. That's his. So
Yeah.
he's definitely right up there. Him and MJ, I think, are the two best players ever to play, in my opinion.
Oh, 100% agree. But you know what? It's not about them. Kobe, rest in peace to him. LeBron still got another 40 years of
Yeah,
playing to do, you know. But at the end of the day, they achieve greatness. Me and you are both on the path of achieving more greatness. And this is what this show is about. It's about meeting like-minded people like you who are not only professional, but have a story to tell and share with other people because people are looking up to you, as inspiration and guidance and trying to figure out how can I navigate this hard career. And you have proven that through the struggles, through losses, through the hardships, that there is still light at the end of the tunnel. And usually I always say a helping hand is a better hand. But I'm gonna leave you with the final word. I'll let you leave with any final thoughts and where I already plugged your new album, but any other details you might want to share, anything you got coming up, the floor is yours.
all right. Well, thank you, Percy. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. And like you said, this is one of my favorite interviews I've done this year as well. And I love your hair, love your vibe, love the energy. And you asked me great questions. So thank you so much. You made my afternoon really pleasant. And just be on the lookout for CJ Shaman. Check me out on Instagram, CJ_Shaman. Check me out on YouTube. I have a really killer video for my single El Diablo on my YouTube channel. So just look up CJ Shaman, El Diablo in 4K. Like, go to my Spotify, CJ Shaman. I got a lot of bangers on there, a little something for everyone. I tried to literally make a song for every person in the world to enjoy. And so if you just let it roll, you'll find something that you'll really vibe with. I got a collab with Drake and a collab with Post Malone through my record label coming out next year, which is going to be pretty fly and pretty awesome, opening up a new door for me, and people are going to see me in a completely different light and just be like, man, we thought we knew who fucking CJ Shaman was, but you don't. And so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, man, just put me in the search bar and you'll find good stuff. And hope everyone can vibe with something that I put out there. And thanks to people like you, I have a platform to get myself out there more. So I'm very appreciative of it. And thank you for taking the time to interview little old me.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand. This interview is over, but this conversation ain't, because I'm getting Drake's number. We're out of here.